This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Ira, good morning, sir. Hope you're doing well.
Getting ready for NBA Finals weekend, Stanley Cup Finals week. So for the winter sports, this is the culmination and should be two really fascinating stories.
By the way, I was talking about this, and you're one of the few I can actually talk about this because you're an all sports guy. This Panther team reminds me of those Kings teams that won about 10 years ago. I'm not saying they're exactly built the same, but they were relentless, physical, and skilled. They were a team that could beat you up and score on you, too, at the same time. And that's kind of what this Panther team reminds me of, that they can push you around, they can get physical, and then they're just as skilled as anybody else when it comes to scoring the puck and passing it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in the Rangers series. I said this from the get-go in the Rangers series. Two very highly skilled teams, but one was physical. One was willing to get grimy. One was willing to go into the corners, literally, as we saw in the series. And that's the difference. And I would think it would be the same this time around because you could have made an argument in the previous series of the top 5 skill players. The Rangers might have had 4 of them. You could have made that argument skill-wise. You certainly could make the argument that the most skilled player in the Stanley Cup Finals, we know this, is Connor McDavid. We certainly know that Draisaitl might be number 2, and that Zach Hyman is probably somewhere in the top 5. But when it comes to two-way players, what I love about watching Barkov is he could just sit back with his incredible skill set and just be a one-way player and still be one of the best in the NBA. But he's physical. He's in the corners. He has that nasty streak, and you see that throughout the Panthers roster. Obviously, when they got Kachuk and what he's done there, you could see it the same way in his game. He loves to mix it up. And I think Paul Maurice is really, and Blvd have put a stamp on this team of a two-way team. So I think there's going to be a lot like the Rangers series. I think it'll be close games. The difference between the Rangers series and the Oilers series, I think it'll be close but high scoring because Edmonton is off the charts in the playoffs, this postseason in scoring. So where every Rangers game was 3-2 or 2-1, I can see every Panthers-Oilers game being 5-4, 4-3, something along that. But when push comes to shove in the third period, when guys have been beaten down through 2 periods with the hard checking, including the Panthers' fourth line, that's when you see the difference. This is really two-way hockey at its finest from the Panthers.
Yeah, they're deeper. They're just deeper than the Oilers. They'll wear them down, is what they're going to end up doing. It's just too much. It comes at you. Blvd, man, talk about a guy that knew exactly what needed to get done, and he tailored that team exactly to what it needed to get tougher. It reminds me a lot of what I'm watching with Caitlin Clark. I'm watching Caitlin Clark get all beat up, and her teammates do nothing. And it fucking reminds me of the Panthers 4 or 5 years ago when Vinny Trocheck is getting slammed all over the place, and these meow meow cats aren't doing anything. And that's why their theme song back in the day, about 4 or 5 years ago, was the Meow Mix song. The meow, 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 meow. That's what I would play for the Panthers during that time because it would piss me off that they had no physicality to them whatsoever. And Zito comes in, and he noticed it right away, and he started with Gudis and all those other guys, and then he said, no. This team has to turn around its physicality, and that's what's changed. And by the way, it would be nice that Caitlin Clark's teammates also start sending some messages.
Well, it's a bad team. I mean, she went to a lottery team for a reason. She went to the worst team. So it's not like they have much of anything there when it comes to the Indiana Fever. But still, you know what? If you were to bring in someone like that, you had to bring in your version of an Oakley as well. And that's what they're lacking right now. But what I love about it is that we're talking women's basketball in terms of physicality. God bless them. That it's become that kind of sport also, that it's not just about the three-point shot, that there is an element of needed physicality. And I think that's how it's going to grow as a league also. And you know what? That's going to put more eyeballs on the sport. So it might not be great for Caitlin, but it's really good for the sport that we're even talking about it.
Yeah, it'll make her better eventually, in the end. But I would be calling out her teammates because you can't allow your stars to take punishment in any sport. I don't give a shit what it is. I used to get pissed. I mean, humongously pissed at the Panthers because Vinny would, he's a tough little Italian kid, bro. Vinny Trocheck.
He can handle himself.
Hell yeah, he can handle himself. And you see him with the Rangers. He was one of your main pain in the asses.
Instigators, pests, an absolute pest, never stopped till the end. But when they got rid of their big bodies, that's when you saw the difference also when they went for the speed. For all the things that Pavel Bure did, setting goal-scoring records for the Panthers, he's another guy you would look at and say, but what about as a championship playoff-level player? And you're seeing it. That whether it's a Pastrnak or just other players in the league, you have to be two-way. You have to be physical. You have to have that also. Lafreniere with the Rangers, bigger body. He can get there and mix it up. But Panarin, who can't. You saw how limited he was in the series because of that. Because he was ice capades at a guys who were playing roller derby out there with him.
Yeah, that was amazing. All right. As I've said before, and I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. I'm going to be right. I'm going to be wrong. This Mavs team proved me so wrong that I'm picking them to win this series. Why? Well, we go back to toughness again. We go back to talking about physical. And I've actually been more impressed with the Dallas Mavericks. They have shown me more toughness. And I actually think that might be the difference because I think they're both skilled. Who's going to be the tougher team? And I got to tell you, I got to give the Mavs a lot of credit. They have shown me the kind of toughness that I don't see consistently from the Celtics. And because there's that little wrinkle in their game, I'm going to pick the Dallas Mavericks here in this series. Your thoughts?
I don't think they're the better team, but the better team doesn't always win. I also don't think they're the best team in the Western Conference. I still believe Denver is better, but they caught a break when Minnesota beat Denver. It's all about matchups, just like it was last year for the Heat. It's who you get to play and who you don't have to play. As if the Heat would have played, say, Joel Embiid in the conference finals a year ago instead of the Celtics, maybe a different outcome. So the Celtics are the better team. What I liked what the Mavericks did to sort of relate it to our Heat talk and our accurate Pembroke Pines report is they said they had to get tougher, so they drafted Lively. They went out of midseason and got Daniel Gafford, a big physical presence. And they said, you know what? Let's look back at the Heat a little bit. That Derek Jones Jr. kid, he could defend even when he was with the Heat. So we're going to have him out here. We're going to put him on Jaylen Brown. We're going to put him on Jason Tatum. We could mix that up a little. So that's going to make a difference also. But it's interesting. We always talk about basketball more than any other sport. You win if you have the best player on the court. You win if you have the two best players on the court. Tatum is great. Jaylen Brown is great. But Luka Doncic is greater. And when he wants to play, and it's such a damn shame because of his talent level, forget the politics and everything else, Kyrie Irving at any moment can be the best player in the NBA. Kyrie Irving at any moment can be the most disinterested player in the NBA. You are getting a Kyrie right now who is basketball only at the moment, who is committed to winning, who is committed to team. You see the difference. Let's not sugarcoat it, folks. This is a guy who, when the Brooklyn Nets went all in with his skill set, decided, you know what? I'm going to go to some parties and just leave the team and just walk away in the middle of the season. So you know what you're getting. A lot of people in my mailbag at the Sun Sentinel have been, the Heat blew it. They didn't go for Kyrie Irving. I'm not so sure Kyrie ever would have found the fit with the Heat and their rules that he would have found elsewhere.
Okay, listen, all those people are a bunch of phonies because at that moment to take a gamble on Kyrie is crazy. And I thought Mark Cuban was out of his freaking mind to make that deal and then to give after it didn't work out that when they did acquire him, because it did not work out. It was a disastrous year. He then doubled down and gave him the extension. So
yes,
bullshit. Heat fans would have lost their minds if he would have come and had the same season he had right when he got with Dallas. All those people are full of shit, Ira. Every one of them that sent you an email, everyone that comes on my show or sends, you're too nice. I'm not. I don't give a F. I'm going to tell you, bro, you're full of shit. You would have complained. You would have ripped Pat Riley. I would have ripped Pat Riley.
All right.
We would have ripped him after that first year, you idiots. You traded for Kyrie, and he was a disaster. Get rid of him. And then they would have ripped him for extending Kyrie, and then we all would have admitted we were wrong. See, I don't understand that. Why don't you just admit when you're wrong and it's over, bro? I was wrong about Kyrie, and let's do this also with Kyrie. Let's not say the old Kyrie, because he's been super consistent since he got to Dallas.
Correct.
He's not raising any stink. He's not coming up with the earth is flat. He's not coming up with any anti-Semitic junk or anything like that stuff. He has changed his ways. And so you got to give human beings credit when they're willing to change and they're doing things differently. This is a different Kyrie, and that's the Kyrie that none of us knew if you could actually get him. And kudos to the Mavericks. They were able to go through the jungle and come through the clear, and now they've seen the light, which is pretty cool.
Right. And it could also be a one-year wonder. And maybe he gets satisfied like he did in Cleveland when he won the championship that 1 year, went to Boston. Believe me, there are no big Kyrie fans in Boston either, with the way he approached that and the way it played out there. So again, are you looking for the moment or are you looking for long-term? Dallas is desperate for the moment. They've been in the wilderness since those 2011 finals. It's been 13 years. They were going to do whatever it took to have a chance. They've cycled through a lot of bad decisions also. Some they've moved on. So you know what? It's always a matter of, if you're willing to go with the 1 year all-in, God bless you. It may work out perfectly like it did for Dallas or Big O. It might be like every team that took James Harden over the last 4 years. Where is Brooklyn with James Harden? Where are the Sixers with James Harden? Where are the Clippers with James Harden? So you just don't know. What we know is this. There are players with transcendent talent in the NBA. Sometimes you take a chance, it works. Kyrie. Sometimes you take a chance. James Harden, it doesn't work. Sometimes you go for the moment. Kawhi in Toronto. 1 year. Championship. Bye-bye. So it's just a matter of what you want to do. We've always heard from the Heat, they want something that is sustainable. So they take that approach. So when they bring in a player, they say, is this sustainable for multiple years? Say what you want of Jimmy. He's given you 5 years of quality contention play. So it's a matter of, when you look at a player, you say, can you sustain?
Yeah, and well, okay, so that's a great segue to what we want to talk about, the Heat. If you bring back Jimmy, it's not about sustain. It's about just hanging on for one more year of trying to put the magic together. But if you are able to trade him and get a whole bunch of draft capital, now you can start to develop your young guys. And then you now have the draft capital to trade for a younger star, for sustained success, because you are now adding a younger star that will now give you a bridge of 4, 5, 6 years of possible success. So do the Heat go to extend what they already have for one more year, or do you think the trade eventually will happen so they can go for sustained success?
Well, first of all, let's not overstate the extension. It's just one actual more year beyond the option year that he would get rid of, add 2 years. So people are treating this like, we can't deal with Jimmy for 5 more. You're not dealing 5 more years. You already have decided to pay him, right or wrong. Big O has told us wrong already on our actually Pembroke Pines reports. You've decided to pay him through his 37th birthday. That is written in ink if Jimmy approves it. That's done. So now you're deciding whether to pay him through his 38th. I am fine with moving on and moving to the future. What I need to know, no, put the thumb down there for those only listening, Big O. What I need to know is this. When we are doing our accurate Pembroke Pines report next season, and we are in December, and the Heat have just lost to the Clippers, and are you willing to say at that moment, hey, Ira, tough loss, but you know what? I like what we've seen from the first-round pick and from Jovic and from Jaime. This team is growing. We're willing to take our growing pains without Jimmy, who was traded in July, because I see something better. If you are, Big O, 1 year in the minority, because we know how most fans are, but that's what it's going to take, Heat Nation. It's going to take an acceptance of, for the last 5 years, the expectations has been conference finals for the Heat, and they've largely delivered on that. If you move Jimmy Butler, you have to be willing to accept, for the next 1, maybe 2 years, you have to take a step back. Now, It's been play in the last 2 years anyway. So the regular season has gone a certain direction anyway, but you know you won't have your playoff trump card. So you will go into the playoffs like a lot of these other teams realizing we're good, but we're not good enough. If you're willing to accept that, I'm always ready for something new. I like something fresh. I like to refresh it, especially when you still have anchor pieces like a Bam Adebayo, whether it's a Jovic or a Jaquez, and things you can grow on as well. The Heat's in a good position right now if they want to do that, if they're willing to do that.
I have no problem with it. I'm not going to act like some spoiled brat here and thinking, oh, well, I mean, no, listen, it's Eastern Conference every year and finals, or you people suck. I mean, they've given us a ton of success. This is not the way you succeed. I know they've gotten lucky and shit. What, like we mentioned in this conversation, you didn't have to deal with Embiid. You didn't have to deal with Giannis. You know, you got breaks last year. That's why you ended up getting there. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, give me a break, dude. And when you got there, you realized you didn't belong there because Denver bitch slapped you around and you didn't belong anywhere near them on that court. So to me, I don't have a problem because I already know who you are as an organization. You've already stripped and rebuilt and stripped and rebuilt again and trade and stripped and rebuild again. So why shouldn't I have patience? You've done this before. Do it again. It's fine.
And I am fine with that as long as the same perspective is there when they lose a game to Detroit next January. You go, you know what? Jovic made some mistakes, but he's still growing in his third year, and I'm fine.
You did the Clippers. Now you pulled Detroit on my.
I'm just saying because we've seen some bad losses also.
Why you got to do that? Why you got to do that? Why you got to do the Pistons? I mean, you know, come on. At least the Clippers have a couple guys that can score. The Pistons.
Cade Cunningham, baby.
Yeah, I know, but Jesus. So what is your percentages now on Jimmy Butler not being with the Miami Heat next season?
Well, I'll take the easy way out, Big O, and I'll go 50-50 since it'll keep people listening to our accurate Pembroke Pines reports, but I just don't know how much Jimmy is willing to act out. If he's truly found the home that he loves, he should be willing to compromise. No one wants to be in Minnesota in the winter. Few people really want to be in Philadelphia in the winter. Jimmy knows he has a good thing here. Is he willing to compromise? Is he willing to say?
But it's coming to an end here. So does it come to an end here with no shot at a title, or does he go to Philadelphia if he has a chance for a title? Because
that's why Philadelphia put out there, we're willing to pay and grease the wheels. People are externally trying to grease the wheels for Jimmy to let him know, hey, if they won't take care of you there, we'll take care of you here. But Big O, if it's solely about the money for Jimmy right now, because one of the teams interested in him, I do not view as a championship contender. So if it's solely about the money, I don't want players who are solely about the money. Let the money guy go elsewhere. You've seen this in football and other places where a guy goes, I want to get paid. It's not like Jimmy's won his championship. So what I need to know is Jimmy one of these DNA guys who wants his career to end with a ring, or is Jimmy already content? That's what I wonder a lot about Jimmy Butler.
Well, no, he's already told you that the last 2 years. He's not willing to work hard in the regular season anymore to help you.
But is he still desperate for a championship? In other words, he had the knee injury, and that's a moment in time, and he was hustling his butt off against Philadelphia, getting an offensive rebound, going for a putback. That was a freak injury. I just need to know, is the hunger there? Not the BS hunger on media day. We're here for a ring.
It's not. A real star. Did you see what have the Panthers told you about last season and about this season? Well, it all started in training camp. Not in the regular season. No. It started all in training camp, that they came in focused and they were hungry and they wanted to get back. And how did they do that? By working their asses off throughout the preseason and the regular season to set themselves up for the postseason. He no longer is willing to work his way from the preseason into the regular season to set himself up for the postseason. So you said something very interesting, that if you don't want the guy that comes back for money, Well, so far, that's kind of what I've seen. I've seen the guy.
And what we've heard from the agent, and he has to get his money. Does he have to? And I get a bunch of questions that I ask Ira at sunsentinel.com. Would Jimmy be willing to take a little bit less so they could build the roster? I can tell you right now, no. Whatever the max number is, Jimmy sees himself as that max player and not a penny less. And there have been mostly players like that, James Harden and others. So if that's the case, he made an exception, Harden in Philadelphia, but mostly, then you probably move on. I know Bam right now is playing for love of the game. I know Jovic and Jaquez are playing for love of the game. That's what I have to find out throughout the roster.
All right, there you go.
Or love of the dogs, one of the two.
This is Ollie. He just came up right now. Say hi, Ollie. Say hi. He doesn't want to say hi. He doesn't want to say hi. I just think that if you keep Jimmy, I think he's about the money. And if you're Jimmy Butler, you're okay. Sorry, Heat Nation, but I don't play the game here. I call it like I see it. It is what it is. If you're Jimmy Butler and you're looking in the mirror going, well, dude, I'm going to get my money either way. They're willing to give me money, but I can go play with two legitimate stars over there. I love Bam and Tyler and all these guys, but none of them are stars. Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid will alleviate all the pressure from me. I can facilitate, which I have no problem. And in the moments they need me to score, I can score. You know what I mean?
That's why LeBron left. LeBron looked at the Heat and said they got rid of Mike Miller for money. Dwayne Wade is my best friend, but he's not as good. They've got Kyrie. They've got Kevin Love. I'm going to move on. So maybe it's as simple as a decision like that he recognizes there's a better place elsewhere. In that case, good luck. God bless you.
Yep, I'm with you there. All right, what do you got going on the Sun Sentinel? So Ollie and folks can check you out.
Couple of things. I wrote about which matchup the Heat would prefer, which team the Heat would prefer to win the finals. And the thought is that it'll be interesting because if Boston doesn't win, does this end their run? Do they realize they have to go in a different direction? I'm very curious. If the Celtics still don't get the title now, do they still go ahead and pay Derek White? Do they pay to keep this roster together? Or do they say, you know what? Lots of luxury tax, maybe not. So I think it's in the Heat's advantage if Dallas wins. And just posted a story on Haywood Highsmith. Not as much about him as about the fact of last year the Heat had a similar situation, two lower paid contributors, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent let him go. We saw the trickle down. It might be time to realize the supporting pieces mean a lot also. So I did an interview with Haywood. That's posted right now at sunsentinel.com.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Ziggy, are you on Twitter? No, Ziggy's not on Twitter, so you can't follow Ziggy on Twitter. But follow Ira Heatbeat on Twitter. And, of course, subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Ira, as always, thank you for the time, my man. We will catch up next week, sir.
Catch you next week. Accurate Pembroke Pines, NBA playoffs, and Stanley Cup playoffs updates. Thanks, Big O.
You got it. There you go. The great Ira Winderman. And, folks, the 16th anniversary sale is going on right now at Acura of Pembroke Pines. And we've got 3.9% financing for up to 60 months. You can get the 2024 Integra, $319. The RDX, we've had two in our home. We got one right now. My wife drives her RDX, $419 a month. The MDX, $429 a month, folks. Again, 3.9% financing for 60 months. You got to also check out the ZDX. It is in the electrified ZDX. I think it gets like 318 miles to the full charge. That thing is awesome, bro. So check out the ZDX, and it is beautiful. I was looking at it on Friday. It is outstanding, man. Get on down there to 15601 Pines Boulevard. Tell them that Big O sent you. The #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. That is Craig Zid's Acura of Pembroke Pines.